So, Assetto Corsa Mobile is what we're dealing with right here. Now, if you're familiar with racing games, and I'm talking about like racing games which lean more towards the simmy side of things than the wipeout missiles running around.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's more on that side of things. Now, obviously, I understand that there's a previous game that exists, so people might be familiar with it. But this is something different. This is a mobile only designed for mobile game, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. This is like sort of a gateway into that sim racing. It's like your starter experience, you know. It's like, you know, your first car, so to speak, when you're learning how to drive. It's like your starter experience into the world of sim racing and the world of Assetto Corsa, you know. And
my driving is very much going to look like that, so I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and this one, like, obviously anyone who knows the brand well, Assetto Corsa, will know that Kunos, the developer, have, you know, worked really hard to create these really tight sim experience. And this one is developed instead by Digital Tales. Obviously, it has Kunos there overseeing things, helping out, but it's developed by Digital Tales. But you know, it might be that starter experience, but it's trying to get that feel of Assetto Corsa and help people, you know, get that bite-sized experience on the go. And then obviously if people want to jump into the bigger experience, you know, you've got that on the consoles as well. So, you know, I know you've got some facts as well, but my chance to throw some facts in is like things like, you know, they've adapted the model to mobile, which you're going to be evidently displaying here, but also the sound effects are taken from the core experience as well. And
oh, really?
You know, there's a lot of licensed tracks as well.
Yeah. They've lent into the whole like real things, the Laguna Secas and all that business to try and recreate that. And as you can see, it's about like doing serious actual racing lines and not making a complete mess out of things. Now, you saw the control options that they threw up there at the very beginning. I have chosen to go with, for the stream, this drag system. So you can see that steering wheel that's appeared. I am rocking my thumb ever so gently on the left-hand side of the screen. And using the right-hand side to brake and allowing the game to auto-accelerate. That's a quite good way of doing it, especially when, I should say, you are plugged into a streaming apparatus like I am. I've got a big cable coming out the side of my device. When I wasn't playing with the cable, I was actually using a bunch of the tilt controls, which were quite smooth for this one. That's another way of controlling things which has gotten better over time. Accelerometer steering at the very beginning of mobile wasn't really up to much. But now I think it's pretty sturdy. Can I make it round? Yes, good, excellent. Go. I need to accelerate.
Yeah, and this, you're obviously in this like sort of cockpit mode as well. That's something that's been added to help with that sort of mobile experience as well.
Right. Well, I quite like cockpit mode. I like seeing the steering wheels, I like the hands, I like the gear shifts, and for some reason it gives me a nice view of the track. I'll pop out into an external camera mode, the one that most people are familiar with for racing games, but now I'm into it. I just want to see if I can just brake really late. Yes, I can get away with it. Go. Turn. Oh, I've been doing well. I hadn't mounted the curb once. Come on. Nightmare.
I thought you were meant to sort of like
a little
the
bit
apex in racing stuff.
A little bit. Maybe not as much as I was. I'm not doing the good racing. Like, whoa! I've just been smashed from behind. That was not me. That is outrageous. Who did that? I'm not having that. I'm not accepting the blame for that. I'm unbelievable.
I'm watching you play as though, like, you know, I do that. But my experience comes from games like, well, there you go. Yeah, I'm more of a sort of a kart racer, that sort of thing. And any experience I have, then it would come from the likes of Forza or a brief run on Gran Turismo, for example. So don't take my advice with anything. It's not worth anything, my advice.
that was not a particularly amazing score, but this gives you some idea of, like, there was one incident there. That incident cost me hard, but it's not that kind of light arcadey zip round nothing. It's making an effort to do something which is close to simulation, which is obviously tricky to do on mobile, but we've already got a lot of arcade races, like straight up, flat out, honest to goodness arcade races, which are tons of fun. I'm going to have a look at the older, let's do a classic race on this track. Have a go at that. But the sim side of things, the more serious racing stuff, is slightly less well catered for, I think, on mobile. Like, originally, I think Real Racing was obviously trying to tick that box a little bit near the beginning.
Yeah.
And then that was a premium series until the third one, where it went free to play, and that's where the whole It's one of the games that really triggered the whole free-to-play explosion, or certainly the free-to-play debate, at the very least. But that was, I mean, it looked very sharp and everything, but there was still, I think, still fairly accessible real racing. Whereas this feels to me a little bit more serious.
I think, I think it is sort of tapping into what 505 games are trying to achieve here. It's like, you've got that full, intense, with all the tiny tweaks and everything experience on the console. And this is either for people who want to sort of jump in and have a go and sort of have that gateway experience or it's alternatively literally what we've been talking about throughout this stream. People who love that on their console, but are going out, they're on the train maybe, they've got 5 minutes and they're like, okay, I want a quick go on this game, but I don't want something that's just shoved onto mobile. I want something that's, adapted to work.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to see what they did if they just imagine they ported Gran Turismo over. Just no changes. It would be hellish. I noticed there that during the first corner where everything gets a bit explosive in racing games, everybody went flying all over the place because of the rain. I think we've got rain on the track and it caused everybody to trip up massively. Go on slow, nice and slow. Because my tendency is always to think I'll be slow enough, that'll be fine, and then try to zoom around the corner at a preposterous speed rather than taking it seriously. Because we are programmed by arcade games, we're programmed by power slides. That's what we're used to doing. We're just let's drift. And then you get into a game like this, it's no drifting allowed. Drive a car, you fool.
I remember once I set myself a challenge on, it was F1 Championship Edition, so it was before Codemasters took over. It was the one still made by Sony on PlayStation 3.
Okay.
And it had realistic mode, the kind of thing where if you just touch the other F1 car, go, there's your wheel gone.
Yeah,
and,
that's you done, yeah.
Yeah, and I did a Grand Prix on 52 laps, and it's just the concentration you have to keep. Got to about 48, and then, hit some water, gone. Well, that was 2 hours I'm not getting back.
That's serious, though. When the Grand Prix play out for the actual real life 2 hours, that's a serious effort. I'm second place here. I'm doing pretty okay, but I really want to just let it speed up a little to overtake. But I know the moment I do that, I'm going straight off. It's really look, a little bit of oversteer there, and the back end kicks out just because of this weather, because of this rain. Yikes! It's funny.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I've reviewed games over on the channel, a bunch of races, and a particular kind of audience appears when you approach something that's a little bit more sim-based. I do feel like there is an appetite, an audience for it. For people who like the more serious races and feel like they're sort of underserved on mobile. And it's understandable because, it's tricky to do this kind of thing on a touchscreen, I think. Second place, it's better. It's better than 7th. I didn't get knocked off the track this time, so that's a win for me. But I do feel like there is a middle ground. There is a way to do it where it's obviously it's not full sim. You haven't got the wheel out and the pedals and all that kind of business, but you can still give yourself a sense of challenge. And especially with you've got a bunch of other controls beyond just the leaning. There's tap controls as well, where you tap each side of the screen. That's one way of doing it. If you want to. I find that's quite jerky in these kind of games where I want a nice smooth, I want to be able to turn by increments, So the thing I'm playing through right now is the Welcome Cup. If I go back here, the sort of the main screen, this is a career mode. You've got a free practice mode, and you've got the Scuderia, which is where you do your upgrades and bits and bobs. If I jump into free practice, it gives me the option to look through the other tracks we have. So you've got your Laguna Seca, you've got your Silverstone, you've got your Red Bull Ring GP, and of course your Brands Hatch. Let's jump into Brands Hatch. So this is where you can just sort of choose what you like. You have to choose the right car, so we're in Group 4 at the minute. I chose the Alfa Romeo that I'm driving. At the beginning I had the choice between that and something else. What was it? Let's have a look. And a Berth? 500?
Yeah, a Bath.
A Bath, is that how you pronounce it? Right.
Yeah.
But you have to earn that. You have to pay your monies, and I do not believe that I have the sufficient monies. I have not done enough to earn the privilege, so I will start.
There's only one car I'd be interested in. The one car. It's the only car I've ever loved driving. My MX-5. That's what I'd want. My Mazda MX-5. And I'll just have that one car and pimp it out. It has to be on there somewhere, I hope.
It's so popular, that car. Everybody loves those sports ones. So this, rather than what I was just doing there, which was kind of more standard races, these are practice laps. So it gives you 3 laps where you can kind of trundle out and try and improve your times on the car. This is the one where I'm going to change the camera angle so that we can... Yikes! There we go. Give you the rear view. I am not equipped for this at the minute. I need to slow down, slow down. There you go. This gives you more of a sense of the immediate speed because the camera is hovering above, whereas in the car, like with the dashboard in the way, you don't necessarily like feel it or experience it in quite the same way, I think. Which is sort of interesting, just from the perspective shift. You suddenly go, oh, we're rocketing along, aren't we?
You're right, and I think having, like you say, touching on those games as well, so Assetto Corsa, but also obviously the likes of Forza and Gran Turismo, I even find you get a different sense of speed and a different sense of control, whether you're like, if you're on the outside of the car, whether you're close in or further out.
Yeah.
That gives you a totally different feel as well, and I feel like everyone I know has their preferred option, whether it's in the cockpit, whether it's really far out. I kind of like back of the car, but kind of close in on it. Like, I suppose what you would call
like
the
this
third-person shooter.
Yeah, I'm sort of switching in where it tucks itself up a little bit closer up behind on the back end. This is, I think, the standard one that you get. Most games default to this, I think. Which is good. I also approve. There's something about the in-cockpit of it all that I really like, especially with rally games. I like to hear the person shouting in my ear, going, you know, easy turn, left, 90 degrees, right. All that business. That's quite fun. Excellent.
Yeah, I think cockpit mode actually is one of the most fun to do. But obviously, I also really liked it as well, where I can't remember which one it would be that I played, but especially in VR, where you could actually utilize your mirrors.
Oh god, yeah. Hey, have you ever tried Wipeout with the VR headset on?
I haven't, no.
I slipped, and I just went straight. I'm in the rough. I'm in the sand. I'm gonna have a great difficulty recovering. Yikes! That's the thing with these serious ones. Like you got to do the recovery really careful, because the instinct is just jerk the wheel, and you will just immediately 180 your vehicle and be stranded in the middle of the track. You have to think. No power slides for me. Yeah, this is more like it.
And of course, I suppose it's like anything. As you get your I was trying to think of the term they use in Fast and Furious. What's it? Your tune-ups, but whatever it is, your upgrades to your cars. You know,
sure.
You can
My nitrous.
sort to modify it. Yeah, your nitrous oxide burst.
No nitrous oxide in this game. You'll be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll add it before they release the game, because obviously this is not currently available anywhere. This is the first time we're revealing it to the world. But it doesn't feel like the kind of game where they get the nitrous boost out and then they strap you to a rocket and send you into space.
Yeah, or I mean, you mean we're not going to get to fly around the Burj Al Khalifa in this one?
I'm going to give that a hard no. However, like I'm enjoying this control scheme. It's a real like rock your thumb on the screen type deal. Like I am not dragging it left and right with wild abandon. This is a proper like just a little bit. It goes a very long way, and you get those nice smooth corners instead of yanking the steering wheel and spinning out, which is what will happen. I feel like so much, because I know some people who are put off by more serious sort of sim races, and I do think it's where you started. Like if the first games you played were, more serious, and then you pick up you move on to Outrun, and you're like, what is this? What is this cartoon? Whereas if you were brought up on the arcade races, this all seemed like some of the sim stuff can feel challenging and almost like, I can't power slide, but there's no fun in this, and it's just based on what you were exposed to and what you were familiar with. Whereas really, with this stuff, the thrill, the pleasure comes from, not doing that. Comes from nailing a perfect one. Comes from adjusting the steering wheel by a couple of degrees to get the turn right, and you just hit the apex. Just kiss it, just so, and all of that. And as with all these ones, it takes a little getting used to. It takes a little bit of practice, but when you do with these serious races, the practice is kind of rewarding. Works out. Yeah,
and I think, like we've been saying, what's good with this is it's a chance maybe for people who didn't grow up on these sim races to just dive in quickly, and especially with it being on mobile devices, you can just jump in, have a quick go, sort of get a taster for that, see if it is for you.
Yes. So what information do we have in terms of this game? I think we're when it comes to release dates and stuff like that, it's not public at the minute.
Well, it is, yeah. No,
Yeah.
actually, I can share. Well, basically, what we've got is, there's a lot still to be shared. There's a lot of information still to come. Obviously, we're like the world first here sharing. But I know 505 are going to be doing a showcase that will air on the 27th of August, starting at 1 p.m. UK time. I always say UK time. Technically, we're British summer time,
Yes.
but just go with UK time, and then there's no confusion. And then the game will be out on the 31st of August.
31st of August, right? Okay. Oh, not
soon.
long then. Okay, fantastic.
No,
Nice to have an actual date as opposed to having to go out now.
coming
Ellipses.
soon.
Very nice. Well, if you do want to get a look at it, obviously head over to that. Their socials, actually, that's where they're going to alert us to the showcase that they're going to be doing, and then we can look out for an actual launch date later on in the month. But Assetto Corsa Mobile is the name. I'm going to try and finish. I feel like I want to finish this lap. I've got one more lap. Come on. We can do this. I'm nearly there. I don't think I'm going to beat my previous 2 times, because I did accidentally drift off. I should probably be talking about another game now, but I'm committed. I'm pot committed. Here we go.
Got to go for it. See if you can beat your time. But yes, while James focuses in on that, yeah, like I say, we'll also, of course, be keeping you updated on PocketGamer.com. I've always wanted to say that, so I'm going to steal your thunder for once, James.
Get
Say,
stuck in.
keep tuned to PocketGamer.com, because we will also be, of course, covering the showcase and the release as well.
Drunk with power, look at you. So proud.
Yay!
Whoa, turn. It's always this corner. I don't want to skid. There we go. Good, right. At least we didn't hit the sound this time. Sometimes you need to wrangle that thing a little bit harder than I've been used to. I think we're coming up to the home straight. Come on. I'm experimenting with braking late. Probably shouldn't be. Come on! I'm shouting at an Alfa Romeo. It's an Alfa Romeo. If the hubcaps stay on and the brake lights are working by the end of the race, then it's a win. Hey, you made it to the end. I don't know if my. Let's see if it knows which time was best. What did we do? Oh, data's getting uploaded. Oh no, my shame shared with the global community for all to see. Oh man. 1:59. Oh, my second lap was the fastest technically, but by like a fraction, 3 fractions of a second. It's alright. That's not too bad. I've done worse in plenty of games. There you go, folks. Assetto Corsa Mobile.